everybody. Welcome to the first. Okay, no, I'm not on the screen. There you go. Yes, again. Hello, welcome everyone to the first International Congress More Human, Rehumanizing Humanity. I hope we're coming out live. This is the International Institute of Humanology. I'm Jessica Lockhart, the director, and I am pleased, thrilled to have you all here connecting one more day live to our International Congress. As many of you already may know, this Congress already started last week in Spanish. We had five panels of experts dealing with different human topics in Spanish. And this week, we are really happy to have 5 new experts every day to discuss human topics in English. We had the first day in English yesterday with a panel on the role of optimism today, and today on Tuesday, we're going to be talking about another extremely important topic for rehumanizing humanity, because the whole goal of this Congress is to help us realize that we need to start rehumanizing ourselves. Humanity has been really focused on everything external, everything that is outside of us for the last centuries. And we think it's about time we start looking inside again and we start rehumanizing ourselves. Without further ado, let me introduce a panel on physical, mental, and emotional well-being, that is integral well-being, and the first speaker that is going to be with us tonight. As you know, we have 5 panelists from all over the world who will deal or who will approach this topic, and then we will hold some joint panel. To the members of the audience who are already connecting live, hello, welcome. It is fantastic to have you all there. Please use your keyboard to write your questions, to write your comments, and participate actively in our panel. Without further ado, let me introduce the first speaker of tonight. Colonel Aalok Sood is an ex-colonel from the elite Indian Army and an international human capital facilitator come coach. He can take the human being to their limitless self by moving them beyond their brains and their minds, which limit us no end. Aalok has been a technocrat and has deep insights on human life and existence. He's published 4 books until today, and those books are on development of human resources. All of them are available on Amazon. He believes that humans need to be in a state of balance 24 times 7 times 365. That is all the time, every day. The why and how of which is shared by him in all his facilitations with human beings. As we said, he was a colonel in the elite Indian Army and is now focused on working with and helping human beings through his sessions, his facilitations, and his books. I'm really happy to count on Aalok today, joining us all the way from India. Aalok, welcome. Thank you for being here. And these 5 next minutes are yours.
Thank you so much, Jessica, for this time that has been given to me. I'm indeed in gratitude for the kind words that you have spoken about me. This journey has been tough because we, the humans, have made ourselves complicated slowly. And now, of course, the complications are rising in magnitude. So I will start my 5 minutes with 2 quips, 2 quotes. The first quote is, "Nip the evil in the bud." The second quote is by none other than William Shakespeare, approximately 400 years old quote, "Thoughts make the man." Ladies who are with me on the panel, please don't feel that it is the man. When I say man, it is the human. I must bring this issue out at the beginning itself, that the topic of the day, physical, mental, and emotional well-being, has a number of other words which need to be understood by us. I would put these words there in the beginning itself. Mind, the sixth sense, intent, thoughts, visualizations, words, verbal as well as action, which speak, which only show the words, and going on from emotions to feelings to moods to habits to behaviors to character and destiny. You know how easy is it for us to bang our forehead sometimes and say, was I destined? Well, if you knew something in you which I am not yet opening up with, you perhaps would not be using these words, was I destined so? Well, to open up, I'm not sure what order should I talk of: physical, mental, or emotional. But let me attempt it. Well, if the thoughts were not there, there would be no intent and there would be no emotions. Because medically it has been proved that all our thoughts have emotions. Coming to the physical part, you know, we talk about mind over matter, but do we actually get beyond matter? That is the physical side of it. Look yourself into the mirror and you say, mirror, mirror on the wall, who is the most beautiful of us all? Well, nobody else seems to be as beautiful as the image that you see in the mirror. So physically entwined are we with our own selves, little knowing that it is the start point of emotions which lead us to our physical pain. Our physical well being initiates from our emotions. You know, there is this scientist, I would not name the person today, has made a mention of 90 seconds rule. If you do not look at a particular emotion which you do not want for more than 90 seconds, it does not convert itself into a feeling. That does not convert itself into a mood, and ongoing chain of behavior, habit, character, and destiny. The point to note and understand is that we as humans do not even know as to which emotion we need and which emotion we do not. I would like to point out that when creation came into being, the first product of the polarities, the positive and the negative, led to the creation of intellect. I'm not talking about intelligence, I'm talking about intellect. But then who knows how to use the intellect, because slowly intellect has taken a backseat. And then, if intellect has taken a backseat, how would we differentiate between the emotion needed by us and emotion not needed by us? I would like to define well being for a few seconds. Well being speaks about comfort levels. Well being speaks about being healthy. Well being speaks about happiness. And from my end, I have added one more to well being. Well-being means that you are in a state of balance 24/7, 365. What we do not know perhaps is how to get these things, because we are searching for comfort, we are searching for health, we are searching for happiness, and we are searching for balance outside of us. I wish we would have searched for these things from deep within us. That is the moot question. That's the thought which we need to initiate. You know, we keep talking about psychology. We keep talking about positive psychology. But do we know that well-being is a central concept in positive psychology, which is the greatest value to well-lived, fulfilling life? But these things have taken a back seat today, and we are somewhere else. We are somewhere else, lost in the world which has been so created around us. That is what we have to understand. I started with the premise about the sixth sense, and I'm going to complete the topic which I started, that if you are able to handle your sixth sense, the mind, and not interfere, make it interfere with your five cognitive senses, I think you can well achieve the balance. You can well achieve the health, the happiness, and the comfort levels deep inside of you. So I would say, start with your emotions, come to your mental aspects balancing, and your physical well-being is not very far away. Try it. I'm sure you're gonna succeed. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much, Aalok, for this brief introduction to the topic and for this perspective onto the order in which we should perhaps approach this, which is a very, very easy to follow order that gives us some kind of perspective. We are already receiving messages from our audience, and they are in fact agreeing with you, Aalok. For example, they're saying, awesome, Aalok, it's true that our physical health depends on our thoughts and emotions. And then somebody else is saying, very nice justification. So our audience is on board. We're talking about physical, mental, and emotional well-being. And I am really happy to now move on to the second panelist of today. Let me please introduce Dr. Ayza Yazdani, who is a consultant educational psychologist with extensive experience in psychoeducational assessment. She's trained in diagnosis of psychological and learning disorders and a specialist in using standardized tests to determine IQ and identify issues in learning. She's an EMDR trained therapist working with family and individuals, children and adolescents, and with young adults, helping to understand and overcome stresses from environment and within. Dr. Yazdani has a research background as well as practical experience in working with individuals with a wide range of special needs. I am quite certain that her perspective and her approach will supplement and be different from what Aalok just said. So please, Ayza, welcome to our Congress. The floor is all yours for the next 5 minutes. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Jessica, for having me here. And it's such a topic very close to my heart. And it brings me back to the time when we were studying psychology, and when we would come to the emotions chapter, the theories of psychology would revolve about what comes first, thoughts or feelings. But anyway, as we have moved on in life and we have gone beyond that and have experienced life, I was just thinking today, especially with a view to this talk, and the physical, emotional, and the mental well-being. I tend to take it as a concept which is interlinked. What has happened over the past several centuries as society has become more and more industrialized, we have become so automated, and we have become so much urbanized that we have moved away from our roots. We have moved away from the land. We have moved away from open spaces to, I would say, chicken coops. We are reduced to living in cities, and we have no exposure to anything other than the rooms and the furniture and the physical stuff. Now, what happens is that with the routine of a work routine, which keeps you going from 9 to 5 and even more, and especially with after COVID, with the change in lifestyle, where one is just working online. So the automated routine is just put so much before us that it is dominating our physical and emotional well-being. And then, of course, I'll explain how it's linked to the mental. So one is just being propelled from one state to the other mindlessly. So the routine starts, we start working, we start rushing from one thing to the next, whether it's a housewife, whether it's a mother, young mother, older mother, whether it's a person in a job, any kind of thing. You will notice that we are all just meeting our daily requirements and targets. We are grabbing food on the go. We are just eating whatever at the moment strikes us, and usually that is not very healthy. So we are just being propelled by the moment. Coming to the integrated perspective, if we were to mindfully do all of our actions in life, it would put things in a balance. So if we are working, and if we are working for a certain time frame, then just focus on that, do the work, zone out everything else. And when you're eating, let's not watch your cell or anything else. And it's very hard because I do that, but it's easier said than done. But again, mindfully enjoying your food. If you're cooking it, enjoying it. Dishwashing, enjoy it, okay? So basically it comes down to being in the moment. So the transition for a mind to make that transition from the one state to another is very important concept of being in a certain state. And we are never really out of that certain state we are in. So we are just, just passing by a lot of moments of the day. In the end, we don't even recall them. For instance, a simple example. You may say that you have to think and you have to get the thoughts there and feelings, like Aalok said. I think it works either way. It will work either way. How? For instance, I go by my own example. I hate exercise, so the physical well-being. So how does one exercise? Putting it off at the last minute, but going nevertheless. And then going there, greeting everybody, getting the flow. And believe me, there are many moments, many a time, halfway through, I feel like just walking away. What stops me? What stops me is, okay, the goal setting and the voice of the trainer, the group activity and everything. So the physical dominates the mental. The thought of the connection there, thought of meeting people there, the social support. And this is where I would like my listeners to think of one thing. Whenever you're doing something in life, do think what kind of impact it has for you and what makes it difficult for you. So if you want to exercise alone, it tells a lot about yourself. If you exercise with people, it tells about yourself. So here, this is where we learn about ourselves and about our states, because if you need people to motivate you, then it is enhancing your emotional and mental state, because it doesn't work alone, right? So similarly, understanding yourself, understanding the way you function will contribute to your lifestyle choices. And this is where the mindfulness is very important to understand. So instead of segregating, instead of living life in segments and or either just going with the flow. So when you are able to take that first step, the physical, it generates the hormones. it does start a chemical process in your body. It gets you moving, right? And then the endorphins, hormones, neurotransmitters, the dopamine, we need them to get moving. So sometimes thoughts can take you in either direction. They will take you in the negative or in the positive. But what matters here? What brings it all together for the mental and the social and the emotional well-being? What brings it together is one, they're all interlocked. So one will enhance the other and the other will bring you supports for the third one. Therefore, one can't say that just exercise will make you happy. Just doing exercise will, people who are anorexic, who have an eating disorder, they exercise a lot. But does that mean they have an emotional and physical well-being? So we have to put things in perspective and not become overly dependent on one. Interestingly, in the world right now, we have the holy month of Ramadan, and we are all in fasting. And fasting adds a spiritual dimension to your, what do you call it, to your mental and emotional well-being. So at the same time, I would recommend adding a bit of a spiritual. It doesn't matter where you come from. Add a bit of the spiritual, connect yourself to the people and work on it. And you will find that one enhances the other and all around it benefits. So that's my take on the emotional, mental, and social, because these are the supports and these are the linkages. And there you go. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Ayza, for your presentation and for this very clear connection of all the different elements together. We have to move on. Let me introduce the next speaker, the next panelist now, who is joining us all the way from the United States. Elinor Stutz broke through barriers long before doing so was popular. Against all odds, she defined the theme, "Women Can't Sell," to become the top producer at every company she ever worked for, ignoring attempts to get her to quit. 11 years later, she lay motionless on a stretcher with an irreparable broken neck. Two visions appeared before her, to which she wholeheartedly agreed, realizing she was about to embark upon empowering audiences globally. She negotiated a full recovery with the promise to be of service. The surgeon and hospital staff anointed Stutz with the title, "The Walking Miracle." As the CEO of Smooth Sail, Stutz adapted the motto, "Believe, become, empower." Believe in yourself, become the person you envision, empower your audience to do the same. She is a very well-known best-selling author, and I am very happy to include her as one of our expert collaborators at the International Institute of Humanology. I'm very proud to have her here with us today to share her wisdom with us. Elinor, thank you for being here. The floor is yours for 5 minutes. Thank you. Open the microphone, please.
Thank you. As you can tell, I'm not technically adept, but it's an honor to be your guest and to be among all the panelists. The experiences are incredible, and collectively, hopefully, we can empower many more people. So I have to say, I'll give you my brief personal background where I got to being where I am today. At age 4, a bully put sand in my eyes. I went home crying, and my dad said, "If you don't speak up for yourself, no one else will." That changed the course of my life. Watch out. But speaking up is not getting angry. It's not saying nasty words. It's speaking with respect, asking questions. I find that's the most diplomatic way for me to understand where the other person's coming from and how to move forward. Why do you believe that? What about the other side of the perspective? And the way I got to that in sales is that I was never accepted where we lived in the town. And so instead of trying repeatedly to be with so-called friends, who would only discourage me from being their friend. I would spend many hours in front of a mirror contemplating what was said to me, the pros, the cons, how I could move forward. It just became a normal routine for me. And many years later, when I wanted to get a role as a saleswoman, I was a pioneer. The men would have nothing to do with it. But it was a question that I repeated. The first director said, I will hire you only if you know someone who knows me and knows you. The chances of that were next to none. So I had friends who were always just laughing at my stories. They couldn't believe what I went through on interviews. And I told them about this one story and what the director said. And my friend's husband said, oh my God, you're not going to believe this. Before he went into that industry, he worked for my dad. So the next Monday morning, I called up and I said, do you remember saying such and such? And he said, yes. And I said, well, does this name ring a bell? And he said, yes. I said, shall I start next Monday at 8 or 9 o'clock a.m.? Which is your preference? And that's how I got my first job. Questions set people back on their heels if they don't want to have anything to do with you. On the other hand, people who have potential to collaborate are the ones who will listen. And together you can discuss and create a bigger picture of how you may work together and empower many. There was an issue with sales. It was highly, highly competitive and secretive because you didn't want anybody to steal your accounts. Later in life, when the internet came about and a marketing person was teaching me how to use it and make the most of social media, she said, Elinor, you have to stop being competitive and be collaborative. And it came to me, as Jessica pointed out, I had a near-death experience. 2 car accidents severely broke my neck, and I wasn't expected to survive. And it was in the moment of one of those visions where I promised to begin giving back to communities at large, however I may. I had no clue how. But I realized the first step was collaboration, to which I wholeheartedly agreed, though it scared me because I was used to people not being trustworthy. But as I slowly but surely tested people and got to know them, I found my collaborative partners. Years later, we moved cross country and I attended some business events. And once again, the discrimination was horrific. Nobody wanted to talk to me because, as you can see, I'm an older female. So I thought, the heck with this, I'm going to head toward writing. And I started a blog. It was something I always wanted to do. What I should have mentioned, because I didn't fit in the town where I grew up, at age 16, I began international travel, and I never stopped. I love meeting people globally. I like tasting their food, enjoy trying some of their cuisine at home to cook. And it's just been a joy. And social media brought it all together, talk about a collaborative effort. And I became philosophical over the years. Some of my sayings are, you only have one life to live it without regret. Jessica said my motto from the accident, believe, become, empower. Believe you can do it, become that person, teach others how to do similar. And be open. When people present an argument or say something nasty, just ask why. Why are you saying that? Why are you doing that? However you thought about. And if they're really nasty, you walk away. Life's too short to try to make it with somebody who doesn't respect you. Keep going. Find the people who respect and support you. And together you can achieve so much more. And believe, become, empower. I'm going to end with that. Thank you, Jessica.
Thank you so much, Elinor, for your perspective. I'm going to move on and introduce our next speaker for tonight. Let me just find her. There we go. Angelique Parvez. She's a university lecturer teaching business strategy, is renowned for her passion for dance, founder of Dance to Inspire, a multi-award winning Bollywood dance company in the UK for all ages, with a focus on empowering women. Her motto has always been to use dance to inspire others, share their culture, keep people fit, and spread joy and positivity. She's the health and wellness chairperson for 𝗨𝗠𝗎𝗓, a global organization, and an ambassador for breast cancer awareness. By the way, and taking advantage of this opportunity, I would like to publicly thank and acknowledge our collaborators in this Congress, the Global Coaching Federation, 𝗨𝗠𝗎, Leaders of All Nations International, INIPAC, and the World Federation for Mental Health for supporting and disseminating this Congress and making it possible so we can hold it, celebrate it, and share it. And now, without further ado, let me give the floor to Angelique, because I'm sure that her perspective will perfectly fit in with everything that's been said so far tonight. Angelique, thank you for being here. Sister in 𝗨𝗠𝗎, welcome. The floor is yours.
Thank you, Jessica, for having me. Thank you, 𝗨𝗠𝗎, for the opportunity as well. And hello to everyone on the panel. It was just amazing to hear all of you as well. And hope we can connect in the future. But just going to start my talk now. So as Jessica very kindly introduced me, I run a dance and wellness company in the UK. It was initially dance, and then, as Jessica mentioned, I'm a breast cancer survivor, and that taught me lots of lessons in life, to be honest. So firstly, thank God that I'm here to share my lesson. Yes, God's grace, so thank you for that. And yes, so what are my lessons? What is health? For me, complete health is physical, mental, emotional, spiritual all together. We cannot separate that. Especially physical and mental and emotional. You just cannot separate that. Just to give you an example, I mean, this is my own personal example. I was a fitness instructor, dance instructor for many years, doing like 8 to 10 classes a week. You know, you would say I'm physically fit. I should be in complete health. But I was mentally and emotionally completely wiped out. Lots of negativity, toxic environments and people in my life. And just a lot of stress. As Jessica said, I think it was, that we run around from pillar to post, trying to do everything as women. And that was my kind of life story. And then, needless to say, breast cancer hit. So that shows you that physical health is not the be all and end all. You can have a 6-pack of wonderful abs, but if you are depressed, it is absolutely no point. So that is my first point, that it all works together. If anything, mental health is even more important. And that's what I learned, because when I ended up with breast cancer, I thought, I actually said to the doctor, I can't have breast cancer. I'm a fitness instructor. And he actually looked at me in shock. And now I can laugh at it. But honestly, at that point, that's exactly how I felt. But yes, physical health is not everything. Physical health is very important, but if you don't take control of your mind, the mind will take control of you. And that's the biggest problem. Mental health, right? Where do we begin? It's about keeping that peace within whatever is happening around you. We all go through very, very challenging times in life. But what I've heard from lots of experts, especially Dr. Joe Dispenza, for example, I'm sure many of you heard of him, is that when you're happy in life, good things are happening, you're happy. Bad things are happening, you're sad. Good things are happening, again, you're happy. Somebody said something again to you, you're bad. You're like a yo-yo, happy, sad, happy, sad. You have no control of your emotions whatsoever, right? And that's the wrong thing. We need to have a peace baseline within us. Of course, we have challenges that come our way every day, every time. And of course, there are difficult times we have to go through, right? But it's about trying not to internalize those situations into our body, because what happens with disease is that when you are stressed and when you're emotionally not at a good place, that takes hold into your body. So your feelings become physical manifestations within your body. And that's where the problem lies. Because if you've had trauma, if you go through difficult times and you feel really upset and you take it to heart, as we call it, it lies in your body. And that's where the body becomes more and more dysregulated and unable to cope in the future. So having that, as I say, peace within where possible. And yes, every time you have something that hits us and kind of is a challenge, take that time to feel it. Of course, feel the emotions, feel the pain, but then let it go. Find a way to let it go, not hold on to it and be depressed for days. Find a way to let it go. And there is many techniques to use, of course, breathing, deep breathing exercises, meditation. Gratitude is a huge thing. At the end of the day, I always tell, I have lots of wonderful women who are my students, who are my members in my classes. And I always tell them, at the end of the day, just think of 3 things you can be grateful for. No matter how difficult the day, just pull yourself to get 3 things you can be grateful for. It could be the fact that we're alive. For me, definitely that's every day. I thank God for that. We have a house, we've got shelter, we've got food, we're breathing, we have family that we love. Anything small that was good that day, think about that before you sleep. Don't end your day and start your day negatively. That's another tip I would give you. Start your day being positive, being grateful again for the new morning. Think about God and thank God for this new day, or whoever you believe in, right? Take 3 deep breaths and just do a few affirmations. Today is going to be a good day. Today I'm going to serve with love whoever's with me. Today, this is what I intend my day to be, right? And you end the day with your 3 points of gratitude. And during the day, if things come up, just think about this. Peace begins with me. Under the table, anywhere you are, peace begins with me. Hold on to your peace. Hold on to your center. No matter what the storm is around you, hold on to your faith. Ask God for the strength. Have the gratitude and the mental health techniques that can keep you going. So that's my tip. Thank you so much for listening.
Thank you, Angelique. Thank you for sharing your personal story too. I know that that is very inspiring for a lot of people, and I know that a lot of people are going to really feel like they identify with the stories all of you are sharing tonight. I will share a little bit of my story later on, but first, I want to introduce the last but not least of our panelists tonight. She's also joining us from Pakistan, and I am really, really happy that she's here tonight. Her name is Sabeen Faruqi, and she's a nutrition health coach and holistic lifestyle expert. Her passion for healthy lifestyle began in 2012 after successfully healing herself from insulin resistance. She was in a pre-diabetic condition. After reversing her condition, she felt that she had a responsibility towards her community. So she already had a master's degree in biochemistry and nutrition, but decided to earn her certification as an integrative nutrition health coach and train as a nutritional therapist. She believes wholeheartedly that we can prevent mood diseases today by changing our eating and lifestyle habits. And in her practice, she believes food is not the only healing mechanism, but it's our overall lifestyle and exercise that makes a difference. So, Sabeen, I am really, really happy that you're here tonight with us. And I am very, very willing to listen to what you have to share. The floor is all yours. Please turn the microphone on.
First of all, thank you so much for inviting me. I was very overwhelmed and happy when I got this invite, because physical, emotional, and mental well-being is part of my journey, and it's something which is really dear to me. I'm an integrative nutrition health coach, and it's very different from regular nutritionist. And these are three pillars of my practice. So when I say that I'm an integrative nutrition health coach and lifestyle counselor, people do not understand. Most of the people in West are aware of this term, but it's not something very common in Pakistan. Anyways, so when I talk about plate, when I say that there's a primary plate and there's a secondary plate. When I talk about plates, I ask people, what do you mean? What do you think of primary plate is composed of? So usually the answer I get is the food on your plate. But actually that's not true. Physical well-being and mental well-being are interconnected. So whatever we put on our primary plate, that's my emotional well-being, is going to affect my physical well-being. So if you do not take care of your emotional well-being, your physical well-being will be affected. So God, has not created our body in compartments. So everything is interdependent. So our emotional health affects our physical, and physical health affects our mental well-being. So there's a connection called gut-mind connection. So whatever happens here affects your gut, and whatever happens here affects your mood. So your gut or your stomach is not something, it's not Las Vegas that, it will just go there and it will get lost. You will be affected by what you eat and what you do. So we have this emotional barrier and emotional connection. So we have to take care of both of them. We have heard about this gut feeling. When you go somewhere and you have this gut feeling that maybe I should not do this, that's your brain telling you that your intuition is correct, or you should not be going this path or whatever. So if we are physically very active and we are very well aware of our eating habits and all, just the way Elinor was saying, but if we are mentally disturbed, then it affects our body. And this happened to me in Singapore. I was eating very well. I was exercising very well. And but emotionally, I was disturbed because we were living in Dubai and all of a sudden we got transferred to Singapore. And I was trying to adapt to new lifestyle. It's very different from Dubai. Dubai is more luxurious and, very, and the Singapore is very natural and back to basics, right? But I love Singapore. But I got a lipoma here. There was a lipid deposit and I had to go see a doctor. And the doctor said that it looks like nothing, but we have to take it out. So when I had to go for surgery. And once I went through the surgery, I realized that, my good habits of healthy lifestyle was the one factor which actually helped me or prevented the disease to spread out. That's what the doctor said. And after that, I realized that I have to start giving back to community and will create awareness about the healthy lifestyle and its impact on our body. So that's where I'm coming from. I walk my talk. I do this lifestyle training with my clients, and I believe that, all of us should take care of our mental health. If we do not take care of mental health, the food in your belly doesn't, work very well, because you're not what you eat, you are what you digest as well. So if you're constipated, it's funny, but if you're constipated, you are accumulating toxins in your body. And when you're accumulating toxins in your body, it affects your brain, it affects your mental health, it affects your anxiety levels. So it is something which is which needs to take care. We need to take care of, because in our society we think that illness is a norm and wellness is a luxury. You just have to go and you just buy a pill for everything that you see. If you have a Panadol, if you are affected by any kind of disease or symptoms or headache or whatever, you just go to the pharmacy, you buy a drug, and then you just think that, it will go away. But symptoms are something that are telling you that you have to pay attention to your body. So these are warning signs. So if you just take a Panadol and just get rid of that symptom, it won't serve the purpose. So we have to be very well aware of our mindful practices, lifestyle choices. And I think that it affects our family and our community as well. So if we are happy, we have to live by example. If you're happy, if you're treating people well, if you're eating well, it affects our family and our community as well. So we have to take care of both emotional and physical well-being at the same time, I think.
Thank you. Thank you, Sabeen. Thank you so much. As you can see, members of our audience, we have a very different panel. We have people coming from many different fields of life. And of course, being the director of the International Institute of Humanology, I want to add something to what was said. Humanology was born precisely because of what Sabeen just said, because our whole beings are interconnected. And we have traditionally approached the understanding and explanation of human beings in a fragmented way. We want to understand our minds. We study psychology, we study psychiatry. We want to study our bodies, we study biology, or we study medicine. But everything is connected. And until humanology was born, there was not one discipline that approached us as integral beings. That's why many years ago, I started creating humanology, and it became the discipline that it is today. The second thing that I want to quickly share with you all, and like that we will start the panel, is a little bit the opposite of what Sabeen just said. I want to present a practical example. Almost all of us here in the panel are survivors of one kind or another. I was told I would never walk again. I had 2 car accidents and I have a very damaged back. And the main problem was not that I had a damaged back and that I was really, really hurt, but I have a genetic condition by which I cannot tolerate any kind of medication. My body doesn't metabolize medication properly, so I can't take any painkillers, any muscle relaxants, nothing. So for many years, I was in constant pain. And especially for 7 years, I was in acute chronic pain in both legs and my back. And about 40% of the days, 30 to 40% of the days, when I tried to stand up, I would just crumble down and fall to the floor. I was seen by the best doctors in the world because back then I was a medical simultaneous interpreter, and they all agreed I would never walk again. I'd be wheelchair bound by the age of 40. I'm not wheelchair bound. I am much older than 40. But the pain, the constant acute pain, the losing of capacities and not being able to do anything, being in bed, not even being able to hold a pillow under my head, just looking at the ceiling without being able to move day after day, being as active as I am, really took a toll on me. And one day a friend told me, "Where did your optimism go?" And I realized that I'd lost it. In order to manage my pain, I discovered that learning about my body, my physical body, could help me. I started working on researching neurotransmitters. This is 25 years ago. Almost nobody knew what I was talking about. But I realized that by forcing my body to secrete extra amounts of oxytocin, endorphins, and serotonin, I could help my body relax the muscles that were holding my nerves tight and in pain. And by forcing myself to relax those muscles, I could ease the pain. It was not an easy or fast solution, but it got me where I am today. I am walking, I am standing. I do have days in which I can't walk or stand, but in general, I have a very productive, healthy life. Everything is connected. Don't ever forget that you have the capacity to heal and that you have the capacity to control your thoughts, your feelings, your emotions, and even your own spiritual being. Okay, I wanted to contribute to the panel with that, with my own perspective. And now I would like to invite all our panelists to this virtual stage that we have in the first Congress, in the first International Congress, More Human, Rehumanizing Humanity, to actually officially open the debate as such. The first question I have for you all is, what do you think is better and why? Is it better to work on your whole being sometime every day, mind, body, thoughts, everything? Or is it better to just work on one aspect of yourself every day for a longer period of time? Should we devote one time to everything every day, or one time to one aspect each day? And why? What do you think? What are your opinions? Who wants to go first? Dr. Ayza, go for it.
Okay, thank you. So I'll go back on my experience as a psychologist, and being an EMDR therapist, we heavily believe in how the body keeps the score, and what Angelique was talking about, and what you were also saying. So we work on all of how the memories are stored in the body. Now, coming back to your question, whether we focus on one aspect or we focus on things as a whole. I will always emphasize what works for a person best. It's not, one formula doesn't fit all. So one has to see what fits best in your lifestyle, in your life responsibilities, in the work that you've chosen for yourself, in the life that you have carved out for yourself. Sometimes taking one thing and trying to work on it, it pushes everything away and can be heavy. It can minimize the importance of other things in your life. For instance, if you're trying to work on any one aspect, so we forget that life is connected. It is like we have people in our life, we have responsibilities, we have to, like you said, we have to come out of our comfort zone and develop new areas, develop exposures, and therefore, so while sometimes some things may work, working on a single thing, but generally the best approach is to divide it, and maybe during the parts of the day, but to be working. And I will always emphasize a routine of self-management. So you start up at a good time, you have a good meal, you do work, then you relax. Too much thinking about one thing, it really sets you back. It really takes you more and more inside and inside. So one must come out of oneself and explore what is there to expand your human experience. That's my take.
Thank you so much, Ayza, for that contribution. Yes, go ahead, Angelique, please. And then Aalok.
I would definitely agree as well. I have a program called Fit for Life, where I help my kind of customers, my ladies, set a routine, like Dr. Ayza said, to try and achieve physical, mental, and emotional well-being in the day. So of course, we are not perfect and none of us can achieve everything every day. But if you have some goals and a little routine, then it can help you to get towards that, perfect mental and physical health state where possible. So I always tell them a little bit of exercise, trying to eat healthy, drink water, drink enough water, and do some mental health practices like I mentioned before, the gratitude, waking up with a positive outlook and having your, gratitude at night, some deep breathing, meditation. Of course, we can't do all of this every day, but if you can pick bits and pieces that you can try and include into your routine every day, then that will help you. We need to be mindful. We need to control our environment and ourselves, like I said. So whatever little bits we can add that will benefit us every day, I think would help us immensely, is what my feeling is.
Thank you. Aalok.
Being the first speaker, I was not aware of the esteemed panelists with the kind of backdrops that you all have, and it indeed has been some sort of a light coming into me as to what you're doing. I'm not what you guys are, and I'm happy that I'm amongst you. Being a technical guy, being an engineer, and being a B school guy, and if I may say a spiritualist, I would like to entwine what we have been speaking on this question of what is better and why. Um, I would here, on a lighter note, ask Jessica and the audience to reverse the question. They need to ask, why is it better? And then add what is better. Angelique has also said the same thing. And Dr. Ayza has also spoken about one formula does not fit all. However, remember that from a single cell, we came to multi-cell. The complex cell compositions that we are in today, I will not talk about neural paths a lot, but we must understand that there has to be a beginning. Something has to begin, something has to start. Are we not all the 5 elements? We are. We are a happy composition of those 5 elements: the space, air, fire, water, and earth. Therefore, when I say that it has to start from somewhere. So what is the basic premise, as I understand, of a human, of energy? That is urja. To my mind, the only word which comes to fore is the thoughts. And when we are talking about thoughts, the cauldron where the thoughts come in is the manas, or the mind, part of mind. So I would say the mental part to begin with. And as I had shared in my talks, the mental part has got two things, the thoughts. One, the intent, that is the reason of the thought. Sit back, relax, and ask yourself, why do I want to do this? You will immediately come to a conclusion, the reason of that, doing that. And what is the emotion attached to it, which will come? What will I do? What will I achieve out of doing this? So I would say that the mental and emotional aspects precede the actions. Dr. Ayza very rightly brought out, if you are well-being, if you're having the physical well-being, you can do it. Another speaker did speak about that they all are intertwined very well. But when we say that something is to begin with, it is the human thought which commences everything, as I look at it. Thank you.
Thank you, Aalok. Yes, Sabeen?
Okay, so I agree with all of you, but as a holistic health coach, I believe in bio-individuality as well. So what I mean is one size does not fit all, okay? So I have a need assessment form that I give out to my clients, because after filling out that form, sometimes when I give out that form to the clients, they ask me, you're a nutritionist, why are you asking so many questions? Why do you care if I have a certain kind of lifestyle, or do I have alcohol, or am I, the nature person or a party person? But it does affect. So after assessing that need assessment, I'm able to understand the personality. So sometimes there are certain personalities which are more motivated when they see physical results. And sometimes there are personalities who are not motivated by the physical results. They actually need they just want the task to be done. So they want some achievable goal, and goal setting is something that they pursue or they want to achieve. So, sometimes, and there are people who just achieve non-scale victories and they're happy with them. Like some people will lose 5 kg and they'll be happy with it. And some people will lose 10 kg and they still say that, I don't think I look good. I still want to lose 10 more kg. So it varies from person to person what works for them. Sometimes they need emotional well-being sessions more, and sometimes they need physical well-being sessions. So in my personal opinion, we cannot assess and we just try to give them like small baby steps or what we call health nuggets, so they can start somewhere. So some people can just start with just walking 20 minutes a day, and that releases their endorphins and happy hormones, and then they feel happy, and then they start eating well. Sometimes we just tell them to drink water and avoid processed food, and after that, just taking out the junk, they feel better. So I think it's debatable a bit.
Thank you so much, Sabeen. During the pandemic, we also held different events every day to try and support people who were in confinement. And one of the things we told everyone was to work on their different elements, on their different aspects, to work on their bodies, to work on their minds. But there were two that were not mentioned tonight, or were very briefly mentioned, that I think are also important to highlight and not neglect. I think we also need some time for social care. We need to take care of our social aspect, and we also need to have fun. And those two might come together, but not necessarily so. It is important to laugh. It is important to have a good time. It is important to release all those feel-good hormones that we might not release even when we're having a good time exercising. So we always try to remind everybody that we need to pay attention to every aspect of the human being. So I just wanted to point that out. Okay, so if anybody else wants to answer, if not, we will move on to question number 2. Yes, Elinor, go ahead.
Hi, I'd like to say that it's a nice panel. We all agree on many of the essential matters. And I have to say that although everything I do incorporates business skills, I am into everything that you said. So at night, before I go to sleep, I think about what was successful during the day and what needs to improve. And I always have the big vision in mind. And I write down what I want to accomplish the next day. But I added an element. I was part of a heart study, and they have a mindful app. I'm sure a lot of you have it on your watches and phones. I'm late to the party. But I, for 1 minute every night before I doze off, I give appreciation for all the fine people and events that take place in my life for that particular day and ongoing. In the morning, before I get started on work, I review what I want to accomplish that day and the specific tasks, but everything relates to the bigger goal. And then I have to add, because of what the panelists said, it made a huge change in my life, mentally, emotionally, and physically. I was always very, very overweight and branded as fat, stupid, and ugly my entire life in that one state where I didn't fit in. But about 5 years ago, I was handed a book called Younger Next Year. And I read it. I was in disbelief. It said to exercise 6 days a week, at minimum half an hour up to an hour every single day. And I thought, oh my God, this guy's crazy. And then the other half of the book was to change from being a carnivore to a vegetarian and a Mediterranean diet. I thought, oh my God, how could I ever do that? But I thought about a Seinfeld episode. I don't know if that was a popular show worldwide, but there was one episode where George said, no matter what I do, it never works out, so I'm going to do the opposite. And when that came to mind, that's what I started doing. I have more energy as a senior than I did when I was younger. I exercise 6 days a week, whether it's the gym, hard physical activity, or I walk 2 to 5 miles outdoors. But that's what I do at least 6 days a week. And I enjoy the scenery. And I'm still bike riding, just so you know, in the nicer weather. And I just feel so much better mentally, physically, and I'm not overweight. It's wonderful.
Thank you so much, Elinor, for your contribution. Let me ask the second question to our panelists, because we're already getting comments and questions from the audience, and I know that we're going to run out of time, so let's move on. The second question that I have for you all is, do you have any tips on how to teach the future generations to care for their integral well-being? Because we're learning all these things lately. You know, this is something quite modern. We are changing our mindset, our views. How can we teach the younger generations so they can learn it faster and better? Any tips? Yes, go ahead, Aalok. And then Sabeen.
Well, I have two small kids. One of them is about 38 years old, and the other one is about 33. So I would say, what is there for this generation? Of course, now the next generation has also come in. But I would like to add one aspect which becomes an obstacle for our not doing something at the end of the day. So for that, I created a small little acronym by KURA, K-U-R-A. K is for knowledge, which is all over the world. You Google it, you have the knowledge. You speak to somebody, you get the knowledge. You open a book, well, we hardly read today because we are into a lot of other stuff. So you get the knowledge. Till that, I am all right if we have the right source of knowledge, authentic knowledge, so to say. Comes the second alphabet of acronym KURA is U. Please understand it. Understand what knowledge you have gained. And by understanding, it doesn't mean reading alone. It's about hearing and listening, the difference between the two. I'll come to the third word of the acronym. Third alphabet is R. Realization. Do realize what you have understood. If your hair at the end of on your skin or the nape of the neck or anywhere do not stand, you have not realized it. And now comes the obstacle part in the alphabet A of KURA is application. You might have the knowledge, you might understand, well, you may realize, because now my motivation level is going lower, so realization comes very difficult. But the tough part is application. For application, you have to nudge yourself. You have to kick yourself at the right place. With ladies around, I won't use the other words, and the audience to understand, we really need to kick ourselves to start applying. I would say, whatever you may learn, do understand and think about this particular acronym, KURA, knowledge, understanding, realization, and application, for you to move forward and integrate everything that comes towards you. Thank you.
Thank you, Aalok. I think Sabeen asked for the floor as well. Go ahead.
Okay, I personally think that we have to lead by example, because kids do not do what's preached, but actually what we do, what they observe. So we have to become role model, not fashion models, but actually role models. Yeah. We have to make role models of the perfect lifestyle that we want them to achieve. You know, I think I'm 50. I think my generation is the only generation which suffered a lot, because the older generation, like my grandma and my mother, they used to have the natural substances, natural food, and they had a very positive mindset. Plus, they had a very healthy lifestyle. But in my generation, like people who are like in 50s, 60s, there was a time when, you know, the McDonald's and KFC and processed food was invented. And it was, you know, people used to think of it as luxury. So we intend to indulge in those, processed foods and stuff like that. But my kids, I have a 24-year-old and a 22-year-old boy. These are very smart kids. Okay. So they have seen us suffer. insulin resistance, heart failures. You're seeing so many diseases. The kids are dying of heart diseases at such a young age. So if they see their parents lead by example and living a healthy lifestyle, subconsciously they adapt. And sometimes you just keep on saying and you keep on, I'm sorry, bitching, but they don't listen. But they will realize after some time. So I think leading by example is the only way. And you just have to tell them that subconsciously they are learning. They are actually absorbing. That's my personal.
I agree with you, Sabeen, but there's one more thing too that we should consider, and that is that life expectancy is growing. We're living much longer and we are active for many more years, and that's also very important.
Life expectancy is growing, but people are ill. People are, if you're living and 80-year-old and you're living with some disease, that's not life. So quality of life and quantity of life is different. So I believe I want to die at 70, not 90, but I want to die healthy.
So I would like
Well,
to know.
I want to die at 100, but be very healthy. Ayza, go ahead, please.
Okay, so I couldn't hold myself back, and now here is where I will take up Alok's initial premise that he has been proposing, which comes from the mind. Now, you see, the best tip that we can give to the kids is a stronger mind. A basis, because what we are going to do is we are going to, like Sabeen said it, we are going to set the model, we are going to set the pace, we are going to be the role model, right? So if again, I'll go back to the routine and I'll go back to whatever we are doing. So if we are integrating good, healthy lifestyles in our own lifestyles, they're going automatically down the line. For instance, I'll just share with you the kind of family that I grew up in. So from my earliest days, I've always heard that the women in my family were very strong. And we all give credit to my great-grandmother. And so I grew up hearing stories of her. I never really saw her. Maybe I did when I was very young. But so I have that model, and so we all have in our family that one person who serves as a resource, as a role model, who has led their life in a way that has been courageous, inspirational, bold. Now, further on, if you come down to it, it is how you train your mind to overcome things. I, in myself, having grown up in that thought, I find myself going down at times, but never really going down, because there's something which just keeps me bouncing back. So it's the mind which in the end conquers all. It is that hope and the spirit which comes after all. How we combine it with the physical is, okay, yeah, we got to do that. It is very easy to tell yourself, you must do this. And, so I'm referring to people who, because I know I should lose weight, I know I should not do this, but it doesn't really motivate me. I just had a bit of chocolate before the session. Okay, so the thing is, what works for you? So a regular pattern of behavior will get you going. Sometimes you may want to break the pattern, but eventually your patterns will be long lasting. And this is where we keep on saying that when you practice that self-care, when you practice that self-regulation, the children mirror it. And this is the best tip that you can give, is that you can teach them coping strategies, coping skills, teach them resources, how to come out of different things and have a repertoire of skills no matter what they do. So they may overeat, they may not exercise, they may not do something, but trust me, something will kick in every now and then, and it will work for them.
Thank you so much. Anybody else? If not, we'll move on to the third question.
Yes, I'd just like to add that there are so many things available to us. And we lived in a town in San Francisco, California, where there was a big Asian population, and they were into medicine. But what I admired most, it was natural. They avoided medication. and harsh techniques for the body. It was natural ways to go. And recently I'm reading Thailand is way ahead on curing cancer. And a number of months ago, I read about matcha, and I drink green tea every day because I'm like on the borderline. I refuse, but I drink the green tea. And it's mental, it's physical. The exercise definitely helps, the diet, and researching what's new and how you can help yourself. So health and mindset definitely are a pair. And then that goes into helping you support your business or whatever endeavors you're in. Once you have that, they're all connected, is the point.
Thank you, Elinor. So what common don'ts are among the most harmful that people often engage on? What shouldn't people do no matter what? Well, we said, people shouldn't take drugs, for example, right? What are the most important don'ts that you'd like to share? Yes, Elinor, go ahead.
Yes, I'll go first this time.
Sure.
Every single time I had an idea, people said, that's stupid, it'll never work. And it became a tradition for me to figure out if there were gold nuggets in those miserable comments, and if I was missing anything. And if I was missing something, I'd add it to the strategy. If I wasn't, I'd smile, I'd pretend I was Superwoman, and I'd tell people, put on your magic cape, oil it really well, so when those daggers fly, they drop to the ground and you fly way ahead of everybody else who says you can't do it. Couple of my mottos are, statistics are made to be broken. Tomorrow's a blank canvas, you can't predict it. And believe, become, empower. You have to believe in yourself, become that person, and empower others to behave the same way. Don't listen to negativity except to find those gold nuggets.
Thank you so much, Elinor. Anybody else would like to answer this question? Yes, Aalok?
What should not people do no matter what? Well, few things which I have in mind are to live in dreams. I know we do say that if you do not dream, you do not reach what you perhaps would like to. But when I say do not live in dreams, I would say that impractical dreams. What is important for us to understand is to be in the present, as some of the panelists have already brought it out. As a fad, as a fashion, we speak about words being mindfulness, being in a state of mindfulness. And today, I know some of my audiences may feel odd, but it won't stop me in sharing that 90% people, when they say that they are being a spiritualist, do they understand what spirituality is all about? Or spirituality is a fad to talk in social circles and feel good about it, that I'm being spiritual? Do these people understand that living in the past and living in the future, not in the present, has got no meaning? Am I going to live tomorrow? Is that not a hope? Yes, we must have hope. So my take on this would be, do flow with the flow, and yet flow only in the present, not in the past. What has happened has happened. I must share one small incident. 14 years back, I gave up on non-vegetarian. Someone asked me why. Being from the armed forces, I ate almost everything that moved. Today, 10 years down the line, 11 years down the line, at 63, turning 64, I feel so different, so energetic, starting from midnight 1:0001 till the midnight. That is what we have to understand, that you need to train your mind. I wish Dr. Ayza did agree there. I must add, I wish we were taught in school why to think what we are thinking. If that was a curriculum, we all would have been better beings today. So that is one aspect which people should be doing to stay in the present. Start applying what is around us. That would be my take on it. Thank you.
Thank you, Aalok. Sabeen?
Okay, so I agree with you that we need to introduce few things in our curriculums all over the world. One of it is conflict resolution, and the other one is stress management. This is something which is so basic, and people are not emotionally intelligent to handle the situation. So this is something which I think we should be teaching all our kids on high school level, that you need to know how to resolve a conflict and how to be emotionally intelligent to be more productive and how to be present. And the other thing Alok said, that spiritual health is also very important. So it doesn't matter which faith you're coming from, but your faith has to be strong. Because if you have a strong faith, you have optimism in you. And that's one thing which is not very common these days. Kids are into recreational drugs and processed food and stuff like that, because they don't have this faith that they can be a better version of themselves. Okay. And one more thing, we were talking about one thing that we should not be doing. I would say that staying sedentary is the big problem. Because they say that sitting is new smoking. Okay. So if you stay sedentary throughout the day, you are missing out on so many things. So what I suggest is, I'm having this Fitbit. It tells me how many steps I took during the day. Okay. So this is something you don't have to, try to achieve like certain number, like 6,000 or 10,000 or 12,000. I'm not talking about it. But it keeps me motivated that, I did only 2,000 steps. Maybe I should walk a bit more, or maybe I should, move a bit more. And it doesn't matter where you are, what you're doing. If you're sedentary for more than an hour, your hormone that's called leptin is not released in your body. So your body starts accumulating fat. So this is something, science and psychology together. So sitting is new smoking. So I would suggest to all of our new generation that they should start moving and they should stop being so lazy. They have everything on their fingertips. They just order food. They do not go out to play. This is something that you need to do, because when you move your body, you increase your immunity. And immunity is something which keeps you away from disease. Even when a person is sick and they are suffering from cancer, a physiotherapist comes and they move your body like this, because when you move your body, there are certain hormones which are released in your body. So these are the hormones which keeps us energized and be in the good state.
Thank you, Sabeen. Yes, Angelique?
So I would say things not to do would be not to give your control away. So to hold on to your control, have, control of your mind, your emotions, your physical as well. Try and include as much as you can on a daily basis, a little bit of everything. Just be in control. Don't just go like a yo-yo up and down, depending on what's happening around you. Try and hold your peace. That's what I would say.
Thank you, Angelique. I would add something, if I may, and I will qualify it later. The question is, what shouldn't people do? Well, I think they shouldn't hold on to grudges, hold on to guilt, hold on to hatred. They should stop the constant negative, destructive self-talk and rumination. And I said I would qualify this because some people need it. Some people need to hold on to grudges. Some people need to hold on to guilt because it gives them something else that they need more right now. So the key here is know and understand who you are, why you need to hold on to the grudge or to the guilt or to the negative self-talk. What is it giving you that you need so much that you're willing to feel bad to have it? Don't let it control you. As Angelique just said, you need to be in control. Be in control of your grudge, of your guilt, of your pain, of your anger, of your negative self-talk. Be the master of it. If you want to have it because it gives you something you need now, do it. But remain in control. And once you can, revert and change. Because at the end, sorry, at the end, you are the only one who can gauge and decide what you want for yourself. But realize that holding on to all those things is also costing you a very high price. Yes, Angelique.
And I add to that, Jessica, wonderful point. And I would add to that forgiveness as well, or unforgiveness, not holding on to, forgive people, let things go, from your heart, because again, it's not holding it in your body, which leads to disease.
Yeah, totally. Yes, Ayza.
Thank you. I've been trying to connect my point with what Aalok said, and I think I'm glad we agree on a lot of things. When he said about the mindfulness and staying in the present, let me just explain it in another way. The mind doesn't know what reality is. So if I think of a lion just sitting outside my door when I finish, or maybe just a lizard even, I will not open the door, right? And if we think about something bad will happen in the future, and this is what we don't do to our children. We don't scare them. We don't take away their power to explore. We don't take away their power to, be human beings. We keep telling children, you will fail, you have to work hard, you will not be good in life, you must do this, otherwise you will not be successful, right? So very simply. So they grow up with this anxiety, they grow up with this existential dilemma. I must do this, my parents won't be happy, I will not be anxious that I will go bankrupt, I will not get a beautiful wife or a husband, or I will not get a good car, and lots of other stuff, things as we grow older. So training your mind to be in the present, at the same time, working towards a future. So you do work, you do spend, you do enjoy, but you don't enjoy for hours. You don't spend, and you don't spend all of your money or all of your savings. So that's the balance where it comes from. And so the mind is very well, so you're putting something away for the future in your mind, in your body, in your pocket, in all terms, and you're in the present.
Thank you, Ayza. If I may, I would like to add something that we usually teach at the Institute as well, because it has to do with what you just said. Most societies in the world are teaching children today that they have to grow up thinking about everything they do wrong. We're raised to compete. We're raised to be the best at everything, to have the best, to be the best, to do the best. And anything but that is criticized and is asked to be corrected. In companies, we're asked, we're measured, and we are told what we do wrong so we can do better. So what happens with that mindset? What happens is that if I am bad and I try to get better, I might become good. Yeah, it's like Albert Einstein. He wasn't very good at history. He wasn't very good at languages. When he was studying in Switzerland, he was fantastic at physics and mathematics, but they kept on trying to help him correct his spelling. So his grades at school were lousy. But when you start changing that mindset and you start telling people to work on what they already do well, then they become excellent. And what they're not doing so well is pulled as well and becomes better. So by teaching our children that they have to focus on what they do wrong, they have to look for their defects and their mistakes and their weaknesses to become better, we're creating mediocre people. That's as far as they can go. But if we start teaching people to build on their positives, on their strengths, on what they already do well, on their skills, on their abilities, on their gifts, then they become superhuman. Then they become fantastic. And that's what Albert Einstein did. And that's what all the super athletes do. They focus on what they already do well to become excellent. And I think that would clearly support what Ayza was saying a few minutes ago. I think we have to start changing that mindset and our educational system. But not only with children, with ourselves as well. You know, let's start looking for what we already do well and do it better. Okay, I have another. Yes, go ahead, Aalok.
Jessica, I wanted to share something for the audience and all of us. Most of us panelists and audience might know about it. What happens to us when we see a beautiful dish laid out on the table? Do we feel good? Of course. What happens to us when we smell a beautiful aroma? Somebody smelling very nice. Do we feel good? Yes. When we listen to a good music, Beethoven or somebody else playing, how do we feel? Do we feel great? Now comes the matter of knowing what makes us feel good. What makes us feel good is the juices which amygdala releases from our limbic brain. I am coming to the reverse side of the coin, other side of the coin. Jessica mentioned about having grudges, keeping grudges. Angelique mentioned about, holding on to something. What happens here is the reverse of what is happening when you're doing good. And what happens now is that amygdala now releases juices which we term as toxins. And where do these toxins go? They go to your bloodstream. And what happens when they go there? Well, you would know better. We are all under stress. We are anguished. We are depressed. We are in a state of conflict, not only with others. A person who is in conflict with others is in conflict with himself or herself first. So this toxin has to be understood by us, whether you want to release juices in you or you want to release toxins into you. You're not releasing them to anybody, them to within your own self. That's the mechanism which we need to. Thank you.
Thank you, Aalok. I have one more question for you, panelists, my dear panelists. Everyone seems to want everything now. We mentioned it, and they want to have it not only now, but immediately on the spot. But integral well-being is a journey. It's not something we achieve just like that. We need to work on it. So how can we help people understand it like this? How can we somehow convey this idea that integral well-being, being well, needs a constant approach, perseverance, consistency? How can we help people really approach it like that instead of a one thing off that you just do one day? And it's like the people who go to the gym once and then they go out and have hamburgers and pizza for dinner right after the gym. I don't know. Who wants to take this?
Well, I'll go, Jessica.
Sure, go ahead. By all means. Yeah.
Jessica, I'll bring out two aspects which you have spoken of. We want, we desire, we need. And when you added immediately on the spot, I think we are leading ourselves back to caveman approach, primordial, primitive. That is our ID as was defined by Sigmund Freud. I'm not talking about ego and superego, which are better. You also spoke about constant approach and being in consistency. Now, how will that happen? You can have consistency, but what is your start point? So for me, for the audience, and for us, there is one thing which we must understand. If we have to have integral well-being as a journey, is first to define, why do I need this particular well-being? It would indirectly also mean for us to understand as to what is the purpose. Why am I doing this? Now, the 5 why principle we must understand. For my audience too, it's a takeaway as I look at it. Ask this question, why do I need well-being? You have answer 1. To that answer 1, ask the question 2. To the answer 2, ask the question 3. To the answer 3, ask the question 4. To the answer 4, ask the question 5. Ask it in the form of why to the answer which has been given by you. I am dead sure, because that is the only surety, that you would reach somewhere which would be a purpose for your taking on to well-being as a consistent approach. Try it out. Thank you.
Thank you, Aalok. Go ahead, Sabeen.
Okay, when you talk about purpose, I read this book about Ikigai. It's a Japanese book, Japanese thinking, or it's a Japanese way of living life. They are from the blue zones, and these people have some purpose in their life. So that's the reason why they live longer and happier. And being grateful is also one thing that keeps you motivated, and it, instead of comparing and competing with people, as Angelique said, we need to collaborate, and we have to pay attention to things that are critical for our own happiness. So we have to define our happiness. So if we think, I just thought of it on the spot. If I have this glass and I have golf balls, so the first I put golf balls, then the pebbles, and then the sand. Okay, I don't have them at the moment. So the golf balls are family, friends, health, and happiness. Then comes pebbles. Okay, so those pebbles are like car, job, home, stuff like that. The rest of the stuff is just sand. You can fill it up with the sand. So we have to give priority to things which are actually important for our overall well-being. We have to take care of our health, our relationships, our family, and our passion. After that, everything else comes. So this is what I think is, this is the key for happiness.
Thank you, Sabeen. Let me say something here, Elinor, just because it fits in so very well with what Sabeen was saying. One of the things we teach at the Institute is that all human beings have 5 basic human needs, okay? Apart from having a shelter or having food, human needs. We all have the 5. At certain times in our lives, they change. We need more of one, we need more of another one, but we all need the 5. The first one is, we all need a certain level of security. We all need to feel secure or safe. And people seek that security many different ways. Some people look for security and safety through physical exercise. They become strong and powerful. Like that, they feel safe or secure. Others, by accumulating money in the bank, that gives them that sense of security or safety. There's many ways, Some people don't need that much security. They're happy as world nomads, which is a thing today, Some people need a lot of security. And at some time in your life, you might need more security than at other times. But the second thing that we all need is almost the opposite. We all need a certain sense of adventure. We all need a certain uncertainty in our lives, some mystery, not knowing everything, because when we know everything, we lose interest. So we need that excitement. If you compare my husband and I need much more adventure. He needs much more security. So we balance one another. And that works for us, you know. The third need that we all have is we all need love. We need to love and to feel loved. And that love can take any shape. You know, even the love of a pet can help you and be enough at certain times. The fourth need that we all have is the need to grow. When we feel like we have nothing else to learn, we die, either mentally or physically. We turn off, we switch off. And that growth can also be sought many different ways. There's a lot of intellectual growth that many of us seek through reading and this kind of event. There's spiritual growth, there's spiritual growth. There is physical growth. Athletes are constantly growing physically and they need it. And the fifth and last need that we all have is the need to contribute, to somehow leave a legacy behind, to somehow feel like what we do matters. You know, to some people, that might be helping the neighbor or helping their family members. To others, it might mean becoming volunteers in organizations 30 hours every week. And only like that they feel satisfied. The reality is that when one of those needs is not satisfied, you feel it here. It's like an empty hole at the pit of your stomach. And it doesn't feel full, no matter what. If what you need is love, and you contribute a lot, trying to fill that love up with contribution, it will not work. So for this physical, mental, emotional well-being, being aware of your 5 basic needs, what state they're in, and how you're dealing with them is also a very important task. And I wanted to share it with you all. Okay, sorry, Elinor, you wanted to add something too?
Well, you reminded me of a slogan that I have that I use sometimes. It's 3 P's are essential: purpose, passion, and perseverance. That's what keeps me going anyways, but most people going. And never give up, because you just never know what's around the corner.
Thank you, Elinor. Yes, Angelique?
And I'd also like to add, particularly for women, but applies to men too, Aalok. But for women, because we are moms and we work and we're wives and we're daughters and we pretty much multitask most of the time, it's about taking time for ourselves. It's about putting ourselves first, not last. As Asian women, we tend to put ourselves last after everyone else and have no time. Therefore, we never have time to exercise regularly or take that time to go for a walk or have fun with our friends or mental health break, because there's always something more important to do. But to be honest, health is wealth, and there is nothing more important to do. Because if you aren't well and if your cup is not full, you cannot serve someone else, whether that's your family, your children, whoever. So put yourself first, not last, is the biggest lesson, I would say, for all of us.
Thank you, Angelique. Yes, Sabeen?
Yeah, and whatever you said, it reminded me of our circle of life as a holistic health coach and lifestyle counselor. This is the wheel that your health, your wealth, your career, your joy, your happiness, your relationships, your hobbies, everything has to be integrated and they have to balance. So if you're taking care of your health, but you're not taking out time for any hobby, and if you're taking too much time out for your hobbies and your career is suffering, then you cannot be in the real, well-being state. So in order to have a holistic approach, we use that circle of life wheel and we give it to our clients and we ask her to, rate it from 1 to 5. So after the sessions and after the, program, they realize that how they improved in different aspects of life. So that's something which is like very holistic.
Thank you, Sabeen. Yes, Ayza?
Thank you. I just wanted, I really loved what you said, Jessica, about being, having that need inside you, whatever it may be. And so in terms of Maslow's hierarchy, we say it's the need for self-actualization. And I think I'll resonate with Angelique, because once we have filled our primary roles as wives and mothers, raising the kids and move to a certain point in life, we are so focused on meeting our needs, which we have kept aside. Now, I won't be really adding anything, but what you said, Jessica, in the beginning, it is a matter of concern to have everything right now. From delayed gratification, we have moved to immediate gratification. You will remember that our favorite reading magazine was Reader's Digest. The articles used to be long. The book section used to be long. Over the years, and if you pick up the magazine now, everything's just like 1 or 2 pages. The articles are just 2 pages. So you pick up Instagram or any other social media platform, you have shorts. You have shorts, which are literally, and when I post my social media video or something, and when I go in the analytics, I find out literally people, if it's a long video going beyond 30 seconds or so, people have left it, right? Because they just want to move on. It is contributing to a lot of attention issues. It is just contributing to a lot of inability to sit still and be and listen to another person, relate, develop good relationships, be there for somebody else. So it's a problem. It's a problem of this time and the coming time. And I really have no solution to that. We have moved into that fast, high-tech world. So I'm just echoing it. I don't know what to say to that.
Okay, I would like to add that, you're absolutely right. In the past, if you had some unpleasant experience, or you had a breakup or a divorce, people used to sit at home and they used to process it, and they used to talk about it, and they used to vent, and because they used to process it, they were able to move on with life. And nowadays what's happening, if you are, if you just went through a divorce or a breakup or whatever, I'm talking about the relationships, they just put their pictures out and they just need instant gratification and encouragement from people. So it's like they do not process and they just run into the other relationship. And that's the reason why we are emotionally so unwell. So we have to relearn that we have to process our emotions, and we have to sit and reflect what went wrong.
Thank you, Sabeen. Let me take a minute now to connect with our audience. There's been quite a few comments and quite a few things that I would like to share with you, panelists. Okay, so we have had many comments, greetings from many places like Barcelona. Somebody said, wow, that's great advice. Angelique, thank you for sharing. Then people connecting from different places in India and greeting us. Hello from Lebanon. Hi, Maha. Somebody saying this is a fantastic program. Thank you. Very educational, Angelique, well done. They're saying again, Fit for Life has amazing balance, some really great advice and discussion. So I wanted to let you know that people are following the discussion. They're still here, even though it's almost 2 hours. Ayza, they didn't go anywhere. Thank you for our audience. And I just wanted to share with you the comments that they are sharing with us. Thank you very much, everybody, for being here. We're coming to the end of our day today in this first International Congress, More Human, Rehumanizing Humanity. Today we're talking about physical, mental, and emotional well-being. And I just have one last question for all of you, a quick one because we have to finish. Talking about rehumanizing humanity. How do you think people should go about their physical, mental, emotional well-being with rehumanizing humanity in mind, how can we be integrally better at well-being while being more human? What role does humanity play in this integral well-being? Go ahead, Ayza, and then Angelique.
Okay, thank you. So, Jessica, the way I see how we connect with the humanity inside us is that if we, whether we have things or not, the point is, what can we give to others? So, like, if we are going for self-actualization now, the youth, and as Sabeen had pointed out, the kids are not that they're getting all the comfort, so they have everything at the fingertips. The sense of purpose of life is lost. So reconnecting and finding, you may say giving back to community, but how do you give it back? How do you find your purpose of living? So I have been a mom and a wife and for so many years, but at some point, the need to work and the need to do therapy and the need to just learn and grow and grow. And part of that also involves just being there for a lot of people without financial consideration. And that's my purpose of life, that whatever I have learned, I must give back to the younger people, to the we have so many youngsters struggling in our country. So to give them our time and ability and guidance is sharing something. So purpose of life is very important. No matter what stage of life you are, it keeps you going. It gives you a reason to wake up every morning.
Thank you so much. Angelique, you were next.
Yes, so I would add to that, definitely, that was a similar point, Dr. Ayza. So I would say, firstly, having empathy as well for others, looking after yourself, very important, because like I said, you can't serve others if your cup is empty. So fill your cup first, look after your mental and healthy, mental and physical well-being. And then the main point that Dr. Ayza said as well is service to others. Try and do something for others, because that gives you the best pleasure and the best satisfaction when you can help others with your passion, with your talents, with your purpose. Giving something back definitely is the most rewarding feeling, I would say.
Thank you, Angelique. Yes, Aalok, and then Elinor.
Jessica, I love the title right behind you, Rehumanizing Humanity. Re has been added beautifully well, because somewhere the human is definitely lost. Humanity, what role it plays, I will cite two small examples. I'll shoot out the first one. Assertiveness is generally taken to be a negative word. But let me share with you, treat others as you want others to treat you is part of assertive communication. And finally, from my side, doctors' symposium was on. There was a situation that was thrown open for discussion to the doctors about a particular operation to be conducted on people, and percentage vote was taken whether the operation needed to be done or not. 80% people raised their hands and said yes. So the convener said, all right, the situation changes now. It is now not the patient, but the patient happens to be your wife. How many of you would conduct this particular operation now? 40% hands went up. The convener was smart. He says, all right, now this patient is not a patient, not your wife, but you. How many of you would conduct the operation? Believe you me, friends, 4 hands went up. My concluding take on this is, please treat others again as if you are in them. It is only then that you speak about spirituality. It is only then that you speak about compassion. And as Angelique said, it is only then that empathy comes in. Therefore, understand this aspect, apply it every moment, but that's going to happen only when you live the moment. That's from my side. Thank you.
Thank you, Aalok. Elinor?
I'd like to share one experience in corporate. I was viewed as a stupid female and I wouldn't excel and it was a waste of money to train me. So it gave me a green light to go take a public speaking class and do things my way. And what I learned from Dale Carnegie's training was to share stories. Everyone called me a breath of fresh air. By the 4th month, I was a top producer and I didn't know a thing about the equipment I was supposed to sell. And that lasted throughout my career. But it's about connecting humanly with one another, finding out the high points of their life, the low points, the humor, connect with empathy, with sympathy, and then be searching for issues that you might help resolve together. No one knows more than the other person. That's what you have to keep in mind. And accordingly, you can move forward together. And my final saying from all these incredible experiences throughout the years, be aware that our worst experiences can be our gifts in disguise. They're the best teachers when we're willing to pay attention and make change and keep improving every single day. You'll live the life you want to.
Thank you, Elinor. Thank you. And Sabeen?
Yeah, I totally agree with you all, especially Aalok, because he was saying that you have to put yourself in other people's shoes to understand where they're coming from. Because sometimes you just react instead of responding because you do not understand their culture, their belief. I feel lucky that I have been, living in different countries. And because of that exposure, I do understand the norms and the cultural inhibitions they have. So we have to understand other people's behavior based on their personal experiences and the way they were raised. Only then we can, be empathetic with them and we can connect with them on a, human grounds.
Thank you, Sabeen. We'll talk about that in a minute because I have something to announce about that. But before, just to add my own perspective to what you were all saying, funnily enough, before I started the Congress today, I was recording a video. I was recording a video that I haven't made public yet, that I will make public very soon. But given what you all said, I want to make it public now. March 21st is my birthday. And as you know, many people now on Facebook have all these charities that they ask people to donate to in order to celebrate their birthday. Well, I decided this year that I'm not going to ask anybody to give anybody money. I don't want anybody to donate money, but I'm going to invite everybody to give me a gift of time. And what do I mean by a gift of time? We teach at the Institute that we give gifts of time to people when we say, you know what? I'm going to give you 30 minutes, 1 hour, 2 hours, an afternoon, a whole weekend. It's your gift. We do with that time whatever you want to. Let's go have a coffee. Let's go have a walk in the park, whatever. So what I'm going to suggest this year is that I want all my friends to give me the gift of time, but instead of spending that time with me, I want them to give that gift of time to the person they know that needs it. And that gift is for me, but somebody else is going to use it. Because I think that a lot of people need gifts of time. And I think that as it is my birthday, I can ask everybody to give me that gift, but through some other people. So this is something that I was recorded right before today's Congress. And because of everything you said right now, I thought it was the right moment to share. Going back to what you said, Sabeen, tomorrow, the Congress is going to focus on best practices to integrate oneself in a foreign country. So if you are in a foreign country, or if you really want to move, or if you moved, or if you think you'll ever move, I think tomorrow's panel is also a very interesting human one that having to do with all the moves and all the migrations and all the wars happening in the world will help us rehumanize humanity at another different level. Thank you, panelists, for all your contributions, this beautiful panel. It was really insightful and inspiring. Thank you to our audience for being there and for participating actively. And I invite everybody to join us again tomorrow for another fantastic panel, same time, same place, but we will talk about the best practices to integrate oneself in a foreign country. I'm Jessica Lockhart from the International Institute of Humanology.